Hey everyone! You've seen the title, so you probably don't want me rambling about nonsense at the very start. Let's get right to it. The Konoha 12 arrived back to town. The whole way back, Sasuke was badgering and evasive Kakashi about the red-haired man, but to no avail. The most Kakashi was willing to share was that he was mysterious, which of course frustrates Sasuke. As with the end of their past missions, they gather at the Hokage building. But they're not brought before Minato for another debriefing. Because of the reignition of war, the Jonin have all been called in for a special meeting. The village's Anbu continues to guard, and the Chunin and Genin are all placed on call. Not really given any additional information, the Genin wander aimlessly outside the Hokage's building. Sakura is unsure of where to go, as she wanted a new instrument from Kurenai, who immediately vanished with the rest of the Jonin. She knows Kurenai lives on the same street as the Hokage and decides to maybe hang around outside her building. She's found something she's good at, so she doesn't want to slack in her training with it. Shino brings Choji home, who has mostly recovered, but will likely need a few days before he's returned to focus. Ino and Shikamaru follow after Shino, concerned for their fellow childhood friend. Tenten fidgets uneasily, indecisive between two destinations. Home and... Finally alone and with spare time, Hinata corners Neji and demands to know why he didn't tell her of Hanabi's kidnapping. Avoiding eye contact, Neji tells her that it was an Anbu-ranked mission. He didn't think he was free to discuss its contents. Hinata wants to press him because that's not enough to hide info about her only sister, and her little sister at that, but that he gave her any answer relaxes her enough to forgive and forget. Hinata's just a little too nice and soft. Disappointed that they didn't get any real action, Rock Lee invites Kiba to his training spot where they can spar if he wants. Naruto knows his dad's going to be busy for a while, and the Sannin are likely still at the border cleaning things up, so he opts to go home. Waving his goodbyes to Shikamaru and offering a silent nod to Neji, Sasuke leaves the pack to head home. Perhaps it's because they were separated on the mission, but Sasuke didn't get the same animosity this time from Neji as he had had before. He seemed awfully focused. Sasuke forgets about Neji pretty fast though. Now that the mission's over, he's able to freely think about the red-haired man and how he got his hands on a Sharingan. There are very few known people who have laid hands on a Sharingan. Most of them are dead. The rest were being actively hunted when found. Sasuke made sure to engrave everything about the red-haired man to memory. Best and worst case scenario was that this was the man who orchestrated the massacre of his clan. He made Asuma and Kakashi working together look like children in their fight. It took all three Sannin just to scare him away. But he seemingly used every element, had knowledge of a very particular style of taijutsu, and utilized it without a Byakugan. All the pieces fit for Sasuke that this man could very well be the one who killed his family. His pace quickens and he gets home with a ferocity he means to share with his clan. In the main common area of his neighborhood, he overhears a public forum held by the current leaders of the clan. The Uchiha Neighborhood is fairly removed from the rest of town, but not so much that they can hold their meetings so loudly and outside. Sasuke stops, hidden by a wall, and wonders if they'll reveal anything that they otherwise wouldn't with him present. A push from behind by his cousin, Akane squanders his attempts to stay hidden. Just an aside, Akane is a made-up character, because we don't really have very many known canonical Uchiha that I can use here. Akane is a Chunin and about 3 years older than Sasuke. Before Sasuke and after Itachi, Akane was considered the resident prodigy. So he takes time when he can to thwart Sasuke, robbed of his inherent potential by the newer model. They cheer Sasuke's arrival, and he sees several Jonin amongst them, Jonin who've clearly refused to attend the Hokage's meeting. Dread creeps into Sasuke that their plans may have advanced to such level that they're openly denying the Hokage. He maintains his neutral expression as he sits amongst his clanmates. One of the Uchiha from the small crowd shouts that it's time to quote-unquote upset the balance. Sasuke believes in the power of Minato, and unfortunately the power of the Uchiha clan has diminished drastically since the massacre. In the worst case for Sasuke, his clanmates actually delude themselves into thinking they can beat Minato, and then he'd definitely be alone in the world. He wouldn't be able to fault Minato for defending himself, just as much as he doesn't want his clanmates to do something that all would regret. With the war in full swing again, more Uchiha might die simply from those consequences. As it is, there are only 23 still living members, and only half of that number are able-bodied ninja. Another Uchiha stands and shouts that they need a new Hokage. Sasuke's walked in on one of the most unstable meetings he's ever seen. To shout for usurpation while outside just consumes Sasuke with fear for what may come. A few aunts and uncles beside him whisper to each other that before long, they'll have an Uchiha as Hokage and finally get what Madara was after. His anxiety of the red-haired man is now but a shadow of a thought. Someone else in the group declares that no more will the Hyuga stand over them. Another angrily demands that once power has been taken, they remove the Hyuga permanently. For that matter, another says, they might as well remove the Nara clan as well. Those blasted Senju sympathizers have destroyed what could have been a glorious village. Jabbed from behind, Sasuke angrily turns to see Akane grinning at him. Akane asks him if he's excited for the Uchiha banner to unfurl on the walls of the Hokage building. Playing at being brainwashed, Sasuke shifts his anger to a quiet chuckle as he readily agrees with him. Akane continues that all they'll need to do after taking power back is to rebuild their clan, remarking that Sasuke's age group has a few cute girls. Sasuke inwardly turns to fury as his elders speak of a complete corruption of all the strong values the Fourth tries to build. His Uchiha brethren are willing to commit every crime imaginable just to grasp absolute power. Akane is barely older than he is, and already his outlook is seemingly sick and irredeemable. He can't even use the excuse of a mission anymore to duck out of the meeting, and has to sit through it all. Finally, though still rambunctious, the Uchiha elders call an end to the meeting. Without sharing any words with his family, Sasuke ducks away, making sure that no one cares to look where he's going or call out to him. As soon as he leaves their neighborhood, Sasuke makes a mad dash for the training grounds. He's terrified that someone might follow him, so he intends to take a very loopy path to the Hokage's house. Every time he turns a corner or exits shadows, he glances around at windows and rooftops, or to the tops of poles or in trees for any sneaky follower. Moving around the edges of the training grounds, he moves towards the Hokage faces and finds relief in the shade of the forest. Emerging from the other side and right under the faces, he looks up and sees someone in a black cloak standing atop a tall post. They don't seem to be focused on him at all, and Sasuke instinctively looks behind him before glancing back at the figure, but they're gone. Paranoia gripping him, Sasuke sprints full on until he turns onto the final road. The road's not busy, but there are several people walking along the road both ways. Standing in front of him is Akane, with his classic green Chunin garb, who had clearly been successfully following him. He points out to Sasuke that they're on the street that leads to the Hokage's house, and wonders why Sasuke's found himself here of all places. Sasuke tells him that he was just going for a run, since their mission that day wasn't overly tiring. This is partly true. After camping at the outpost, they headed back home early that morning. Akane tells him that the oh-so-great genius doesn't need to exercise. Taking a step closer, Akane leans towards Sasuke and asks him again if he was headed to the Hokage's house. Seeing a flash of pink behind Akane, Sasuke suddenly blurts out that he was going to see that girl. Pushing Akane out of the way, Sasuke runs up to Sakura, and before she has a chance to even say hello, he turns her away from Akane and gets her to walk with him. Sakura wonders what he's doing, and he turns down an alley with her to escape Akane's sight. As soon as they're behind the wall, Sasuke releases her and hugs against the wall to peek if Akane is still watching. Irked, Sakura begins berating him for pulling her away from Kurenai's house, but he completely ignores her. When she tries to re-enter the street, he pushes her back and tells her to stay still, but she demands an explanation. He looks at her, weary, and tells her she's annoying. Akane is not in sight. Sasuke relaxes a little bit, aware that the Hokage's house is now literally in sight. Without sharing another word to Sakura, he dashes across the street and into the trees. She realizes that maybe her teammates aren't the worst ones she could have. Even Naruto, the unpopular Ninetales kid, talks to her, but what she just experienced with Sasuke was confusing at its very best. Sneaking around back, Sasuke enters through the back door. Normally he respectfully knocks, but given everything he now knows, it is imperative that the Hokage learns everything. He walks into Naruto, popping a cup of ramen open, and asks where his dad is. Naruto rolls his eyes and mutters, "Some genius," to himself, before telling Sasuke that his dad's going to be at work probably for the next few days. Growling in frustration, Sasuke throws the cup of ramen out of Naruto's hands and tells him to use the Flying Raijin to summon his dad. Naruto looks at his spilled ramen and up at Sasuke with a different level of annoyance. He tells Sasuke that he'd get in major trouble if he interrupted his dad now of all times. Sasuke tells him that if it's about the fourth's life, surely that's serious enough, right? Naruto dismisses it as a lark. His dad's stronger than anyone. He even says in a flat tone that there probably won't be another Hokage until his dad dies of old age, because he's just too strong. Half the kids in the academy said they wanted to be Hokage, but what a stupid goal when his dad would hold the title until they're all old. Sasuke's filled with anger and fear and frustration and can barely stand to have a stupid argument with Naruto. Sasuke tells him that it doesn't matter whether you're a Hokage or a Genin as long as everyone's fighting for the same cause, but Naruto cuts him off, telling Sasuke that he's overheard some of the conversations Sasuke's had with his dad. Saving him from some attempted overthrow won't give Sasuke any easy promotions. He's even shocked that Sasuke is so willing to sacrifice his entire family for some guy that might not even be fighting for his cause. What does that mean? Sasuke asks him, and Naruto willfully tells him that his dad probably isn't devoting that much time to finding out who caused the massacre. The front door opens just as Sasuke grabs Naruto by the collar and Jiraiya walks in. Excited by the entrance of a Sannin, Sasuke throws Naruto to the floor and runs to greet Lord Jiraiya. He tells him that Minato's life could be in danger, but he has no idea how to contact him. Naruto clambers to his feet and repeats that no amount of effort will let him get to Chunin faster. He repeatedly tells Naruto to shut up and grips Jiraiya by his red vest in desperation, asking again how he can speak to Minato. Sasuke just starts rambling about the meeting, but it's disjointed and Jiraiya doesn't quite pick up on all the details. Sasuke switches to talking about the man in the cloak on the post, and then the red-haired man, and then his Sharingan. Eventually, Jiraiya tells him to sit down and asks Naruto to get some water for their guest. He tells Sasuke that Minato is currently in a room full of loyal Jonin. Nobody could ever touch him at the moment. Realizing the logic, Sasuke sits down and tries to calm his breathing. Naruto hasn't gotten him any water, because of course he hasn't. Instead, he's staring daggers at him for ruining his supper. Naruto asks him again why he wants Chunin so badly, and Sasuke says he never mentioned Chunin or promotion at any point. Jiraiya asks them what they were talking about when he came in. After the explanation, Jiraiya looks at Naruto curiously and asks him directly if he wants to be Hokage. Shaking his head, Naruto stubbornly tells them it's a waste of energy. There can only be one Hokage and his dad's still young. He'll have it for another 50 years, so what's the point? Jiraiya tells Naruto that when Minato was first chosen, it was because the third Hokage wanted to retire, and thought the transition of power would be easier if there were two Hokage for a time. Not to mention that had the third found a capable ninja earlier in life, he would have stepped down even earlier. The title doesn't just change when a Kage dies. They can also just pass it off. Naruto still insists it's a waste of effort. If most of the ninja in the village want a title that only one of them will get, then you'll end up with a village full of disappointed people. Jiraiya tells him that he's missing the point, and Sasuke nods along with Jiraiya. Feeling ganged up on, Naruto is now the one to resort to violence. Sasuke watches him come and rises to the occasion as both lock grips on each other. Jiraiya sighs, and just as he's about to stand up to quell their squabble, Minato reaches down and grabs his son by the wrist. Wordlessly, Naruto releases Sasuke. Jiraiya chuckles and tells Minato he's just as fast as always. He didn't even blink, and Minato was just there suddenly. Minato tells them that he's taking a little break after the meeting, but he doesn't have much time for freedom right now. Sasuke tells him that he simply must speak to him. It's a life or death situation, which again causes Naruto to roll his eyes. Minato gets Jiraiya to close the curtains as there are unwanted eyes spying on the house. He tells Sasuke that he was tailed. Akane is across the street. No idea how he'll leave the house now, Sasuke apologizes for being sloppy. Minato dismisses the apology, as Akane is a promising young ninja in his own right. Sitting down and even inviting Naruto to sit in, Minato asks Sasuke to speak quickly, because he truly doesn't have very much time. So Sasuke splurges on the Uchiha meeting and the red-haired man possibly being the culprit behind the massacre. Their last meeting was only a few weeks ago, and the meeting held then by the Uchiha concerned spying on Minato. To elevate so quickly could be connected to the sudden reignition of war. On the other hand, Minato wonders if it's just a good chance to take advantage of the chaos. Considering the red-haired man, Minato still doesn't know very much about him, but that he had a Sharingan and could use Gentle Fist. It's a dangerous concoction, a combination of techniques from the Uchiha and Hyuga. Not only would that make for a scary foe, but it could foment further distrust between the two houses. He tells everyone in the room to keep information about the red-haired man to themselves. News of the man will soon reach the village, but if they can slow the dissemination of information, they can stay in control of it. Sighing about his time being up, Minato tells Sasuke that he'll take care of Akane for him. Lying prone atop a roof opposite their home, Akane is staying well enough hidden for most to miss him. But you can imagine his shock when Minato suddenly addresses him from behind, wondering why he's so nervous about knocking on his door. Panicking about being caught, Akane stutters and just runs away. Minato smiles sadly that the Uchiha clan just can't seem to find happiness and peace. His smile turns to a frown, and he vanishes again to return to work. And that's enough for today. There's a lot of moving parts coming up, and I want to make sure to give each one a proper level of attention. We have one or two more similarly themed videos before we get into more action. It's taken a while to get to this point, but now things are ramping up and up. Until next time, the sky's the limit.